Welcome back to an episode of Let's Build Twitter. We're on episode 105. As always, as a reminder, if you guys do want access to the full repository, all you have to do is support the channel by joining the membership. Of course, this is only optional. If you just want to follow along, that is also perfectly fine as well. On top of this, I have been live streaming about every Tuesday and Thursday around 6 a.m. CST. So if you do want to check out me just kind of tinkering around, planning out the videos and experimenting, you can go ahead and do that as well. Those live streams are uploaded and archived as well. So let's hop into what we're working on today. In this episode, we start out by setting up some custom exceptions, as well as custom exception handling for when things go wrong while we attempt to create a post. And then we set up the ability for anyone, regardless of being logged in, to view post, wrapping up with setting up a new method to handle taking in a list of images and a post body to create posts with media. As always, I'm Ethan, or an encoder, and let's hop straight into the development. Back inside of our Eclipse, let's go ahead and set up some exception handling and error handling. So we're going to go into our exceptions. I'm going to make a new class, and I'm going to go ahead and call this unable to create post exception. And this is going to just be a runtime exception. Sends runtime exception, and this is just gonna have we'll make the private serial ID just so they get to stop complaining. Just to say public unable to create post exception, and we're just gonna have a no arg here, super, and unable to create a post at this time. So that will be our unable to create post. And then we'll also go ahead and create a new class, and this is going to say post maybe does not exist exception. And this one again will extend runtime exception, and we'll deal with the serial ID. And this one will say public post does not exist exception, and this one will say super, and we'll just say the post requested does not exist. Cool. So now we can use these inside of our service class to throw some exceptions if something doesn't go right. On post service, here we'll throw a new unable to, and I called this create post. Yeah, create post exception. And then we'll go ahead and we'll get rid of the return, obviously, and we'll go ahead and import unable to create exception or create post exception. And then here by get post by ID, if the post doesn't exist, what we want to actually do is instead of saying .get, we say dot or else throw. And then inside, we're going to go ahead and say post, if I can get inside, post does not exist exception. We'll call the constructor on that, and there we go. So now if the post doesn't exist, we'll just throw an exception, and inside of our post controller above our create post, I'm gonna go ahead and add an at exception. Okay, type exception filler, and here we're gonna have our unable to save post, actually create post exception dot class. So if we're unable to create an exception, we'll have a public response entity of type string, and we could probably do like a message or something, DTO, but it's fine. Handle unable to create post, not going to take anything in. Then we can go ahead and import our exception handler and our unable to create post. So now what we'll go ahead and do is just return a new response entity of type string, and this one's just going to be like a 500. So like a generic, hey, we weren't able to create your your post for whatever reason. We're just going to say unable to create post at this time. HTTP status dot internal server error. Cool. And then under the get by ID, we're going to have, or above it actually, we're going to have at exception handler. And this one is going to say post does not exist exception. And this one has a public response entity of type string. And this is going to be handle post does not exist. If we want to, we could set up like an entire controller that is only nothing but exception handling, but I kind of like to group them together. This should be .class. Let me go ahead and import post does not exist exception, maybe. Please. Go. All right, this one will return a new response entity. And this will be of type string. And then here we'll say post does not exist. And this will be a 404. So this will be HTTP status dot not found. Cool. And that's good to go. So now I mentioned that we need to set up the ability for a user to view some posts without being like logged in. So to do that, we go into our config, go into our security config, and then I'm going to go below the user stop following. I'm going to say .mvc matchers, and I'm going to go ahead and say slash posts slash ID slash, and then we're going to have star star, and we're going to say dot permit all, and this is going to basically say, hey, allow anyone, it doesn't matter if they're logged in or not, to go to the route slash post slash ID star star, or basically slash post by their ID. So that will fix that right up. So now if we come back into Postman, we don't have any posts created, so we're going to go into create a post, and we'll say this is a post without media again, and save it. And now still post ID 3. Oh, it's because we reset the server, of course. Now if we come in here, you see there's no auth or anything, and we try to get by ID 3. It's a little bit slow, which is a little bit concerning. It might just be, I don't know, who knows what it is, but you can see it's working just fine. And if we also try to get an ID that doesn't exist, for example 4, we should get a 404 not found. We're all good to go. So our exception handling is working, and we can get it by ID without having to be logged in. Of course, if you are logged in, that's also perfectly fine. So now let's go ahead and set up our post service to be able to actually create a post with media. So inside of here, I'm going to go ahead and create a public, and I'm going to say post, and I'm going to say create media post. And I think we might be able to dual purpose this for videos in the future, so that's also good. So we're gonna go ahead and say string post, and we're gonna say list of multi-part files. So the way that this is gonna work is basically the way that we had to do this is we had to send the data in two parts. We need to send the post part, and then we also need to send the part with the actual files. And to do this, we had to send it in basically a URL, not URL encoded, but like form data basically through a post. And the form data is going to be like actual string. So to do that, we're going to go ahead and create a post DTO. So create post DTO, DTO equal to new create post DTO. And then what we need to do is we need to go ahead and say try, and we're going to go ahead and just catch an exception E. Exception E, and we should probably be logging this. Throw to unable to create post exception. So if we catch an exception, we'll throw it. Okay, so now we need an object mapper. So we're going to say object mapper, and this is going to come from Jackson. equal to new object mapper. And this is basically a JSON serializer or a deserializer. We're going to be mapping it from a JSON string to an object. I'm going to say DTO is equal to object mapper dot read value. And we're going to pass in our DTO. We're actually going to pass in the post that we passed it, and then we're going to pass in create post DTO dot class. So it's going to take the object that we passed. And what's your problem? Whoops. So basically it's going to take the string that gets passed and convert it into a class based on everything else. We're going to go ahead and I'm going to copy and paste this. I know, not great. I should probably make a private method for constructing a post. It is what it is. But then we need to go ahead and upload the images that got passed to us. So we're going to say list of image, post images is equal to a new array list. We're going to store all of the images that we got into an array list. That way we can put it on the post. And while we're at it, we're also going to go ahead and, store them on the database and in file as well. And hopefully everything's linked up properly again. So we're going to say for int I equal to 0. If you wanted to, you could use an enhanced for loop here. It doesn't matter. And we're going to say I is less than files.size. So for as many files as we have, I++, like so. And then we're going to have an image. Post image is equal to image service dot upload image to file system. And this is going to take in the files dot get I, and we're going to say post. So basically we're going to prefix our file with post. Why? Because this is an image, so it goes with the post. And now obviously we don't have an image service. So we need to go ahead and come up here and we'll say private final image service. Image service. We'll also go ahead and say image service, and this dot image service is equal to image service. Now we have our image service, and let's see. Upload image to file system. What did I spell wrong? Upload image to file system. Let me double check that what I spelled wrong. Did image not come from where I wanted it to? It came from where I wanted to. Image service. Let's try this. Image service dot. Oh, it's just upload image. I don't know why that's different, but okay. So we'll say files dot get I, and then the prefix will just be post. I don't know how my thing is so out of sync, but okay. We'll say post images dot add, and we'll add that post image. And then finally we'll say post dot set image. We're going to ahead and throw our post images, and then we'll return post repo dot save the post. So now this post is going to have images associated with it. If there's an issue, we'll do this. And something that I want to double check inside of our image service really quick. I want to make sure that this is pointing. It is not pointing to the right place. So let's go ahead and point it at our image folder. So I'm just going to go ahead and go properties. I'm going to copy this. And I'm going to paste it here. So again, this will point to yours or whatever. So there's that. That looks good. All right, now we obviously need to set up our controller to create a media post. So to do that, we're going to go into our post controller, and I believe I'll just do it right underneath the /post mapping. So it doesn't matter where it goes. I just like grouping things at post mapping, and I'm going to call this /media. So this will be a media post, and we'll say public post create media post because it takes in media. However, we need to set this up differently. So we're going to say value is equal to /media, and then we're going to say it consumes And this part is sometimes a pain, so hopefully I can get to work. But it's going to consume media type dot application underscore JSON underscore value. And then it's also going to consume media type dot multi-part, and I think this is form data value. Let me double check. Form data value. Cool. Okay. And then what we have to do is inside of here, we're going to say at request part, and this is going to be post is going to be a string post, so we're gonna send it literally as a string. And at request part of media, we're gonna have a list of multi-part files. Now we need to go ahead and import our request part and import multi-part files. So basically, we're going to send it in a more or less a form data, and part of the form data is going to be the entire string, JSON string. And we'll have to deal with all the media and stuff like that later on the front end, and then we'll have the actual media. And then all we got to do now is actually just say return post service dot create media post, pass in our post and pass in our files, and save that. And now all we gotta do is set up a couple other things. Firstly, we need to make sure that we don't send massive, or we can only send files of a certain size or up to a certain size. Go into our application.properties. We're gonna come in here, and below server port, we're gonna go ahead and say spring.servlet. And we're gonna say dot multipart. We're gonna say dot max file size. And we're going to say 5 megabytes. So basically, we can send files that are up to 5 megabytes large. And we'll probably need to change that for, obviously, videos. But spring.servlet.multipart request size. So, multipart and max request size. So this is going to equal to 20 megabytes. So you math whizzes out there, you can figure out that we're allowed to send 4 files, 5 megabytes each. So now we can go ahead and try to test out our creating posts with media. So if we go ahead and go into our /post/media, so this is what it's going to look like. So on one form value, we're going to have post. And it's going to be a string of content, author, yada, yada, yada. So this is literally just straight up our post. Then here we have our files to select, and we can select my all-time favorite meme. Like they're doing over there. Whoops, I shouldn't say that. But if we hit post, it's probably going to blow up, and I'm probably going to debug. Wow, it actually just worked. As you can see, we have images. If we click on this, in Postman, it will pop up, send it. You can see the images. So the post has images, and now we can create posts with and without images, and we should be fairly well ready to go to hop into the front end and start creating posts over there. Unfortunately, that's going to be it for today. If you guys enjoyed, please stick around for the next episode by hitting that subscribe button. You'll know exactly when it comes out, especially at that bell icon. If you did enjoy the content today, please sure to leave a thumbs up. If you didn't enjoy it, leave a thumbs down. Either way, it helps out with the algorithm all the same. And finally, if you have any suggestions or feedback for me, make sure you leave a comment down below. With that being said, I appreciate you all for watching. Stay tuned for the next episode. Peace out, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.